During the previous Great Rift, we spent a lot of time farming for our perfect Cassius decks with this dice trick upgrade that gives you a random quest card on quest completion. And we had 3 copies or even 4 copies, but then for this Rift we had to refarm our decks to only have 1. The thing is, if you're going for the best possible score, this dice trick is actually not optimal. So this video is going to be going over the upsides and downsides to having this dice trick versus having a different version. What is optimal though, is the best way to save money on your spending is to use lootbar.gg. No matter what you're looking to pick up, Lootbar provides it fast, secure, and at a more affordable price, with 24/7 customer service and refunds guaranteed. If you haven't gotten your double crystals yet, buying it on Lootbar can save you up to $30 if it's your first purchase. Lootbar has been providing deals for games for years, giving them over 30,000 reviews on Trustpilot with an average rating of 4.9. New users can currently get 2 coupons for an additional 12% and 8% off their purchases, so make sure to click on the link below and sign up now. So why would you want to not have the dice trick that gives you a quest card on completion? The answer is pretty obvious. It's because of the existence of 111. We use 111 to our advantage in our runs because we use it to heal, but because of the RNG nature of the random quest card, if you draw more 111s, then it's either going to take up space in your hand forever, or you rewind and eventually you can run out of sands of time anyways. It pretty much is just a brick. It'll kill you if you play it on the later turns anyways, so it's really annoying to deal with. But the reason we use quest card anyways is because it's good for damage. We can draw straight, which gives us morale. We can draw 000, which is another nuke. And we can, most importantly, I would say, draw full house, which is going to help you out a ton with cycling through your entire deck, especially when you have a bit of extra homing lasers in there sometimes. It's going to bloat your deck a little bit and you need more draw than expected. And there are ways around this, which we'll take a look at in a little bit. And the reason the 111 is important is just because I mentioned the pseudo infinite in my previous video, and while I don't have a good way to show it because my deck doesn't really sustain it, but the general idea is you kill the boss, it refreshes its tenacity bar, you play your homing lasers, you re-ravage it, and then you can kill the boss again with 000. As long as you have at least 4 homing lasers to re-ravage the boss in your hand after killing it, you'll be able to sustain this infinite. And you need enough morale, of course, to even reach that point, so you can kill the boss with however many homing lasers and 000s you have, and also factoring in RNG, like missing crit. So the thing here is that it's going to eventually generate more 111s because your homing lasers are 0 cost, you're spamming the quest completions. So the 111s are going to kill you. You could use Sands Time to rewind. At that point, each rewind is going to take you 2 to 3 minutes, maybe more once you take long enough on the pseudo infinite. And then you're going to pretty much frick because your hand is going to fill with 111s after you run out of Sands of Time. So that is the primary reason why. We can take a look at global here. At the top, it's really only rank 2, though his score isn't as high as the ones in Asia. But you can see here he has the dice trick that doesn't have the upgrade. You look at rank 1, we still have the dice trick quest card completion. And he is very high score. Asia is higher, but this score is good enough for rank 6 on Asia. So it's not like the quest card is bad. I would say that for the average player, honestly, this is probably better because of how strict it is to use the one without, to use the non quest card creation version of this card, just because of the draw requirements from not having full house. Here are the scores in the Asia server. This is as of earlier today, thanks to Kartoffel in the Discord for recording this. The scores could be a little bit higher now, but taking a look at this, the scores in Asia are generally just higher, and 3 people have managed to pass the 1.5 million damage barrier. Keep in mind the score deflation mechanic. Any increases in score once you get super high up are pretty big differences in actual damage being dealt. Like, this could be bunches of boss kills of difference in between. I'm not sure exactly how many, but it's probably a lot. Let's go ahead and take a look at their decks though. The first person, you can see it's the heal plus fixed damage quest card for, or upgrade for dice trick rather. And I mentioned that you're going to need a bunch of draw to sustain this. Of course, you also need to keep mana field, so you actually have a heal card to generate the counterfeits in your deck from the boss. We have a confiscation, 3 jokers. The joker is really important here too, because since you can't really save yourself by looking into full houses and drawing cards if you have bad RNG on your where your cards spawn in your deck, rather, or spawn in your draw pile, you can use joker to just pick out Portraits of Fury or pick out confiscations. We got a Portrait of Fury on our Cassius. On Selena, there's another Portrait of Fury. This is an interesting usage of Forbidden Algorithm, because Forbidden Algorithm generates a random Forbidden card in your hand. And there's 7 Forbidden cards, I think, so 1 in 7 to get an extra Portrait of Fury. Not the worst RNG in the world, I guess. It's just funny. It's a funny method of getting an extra Portrait of Fury. It's just a little bit RNG on whether or not you'll get the right one. I think a confiscation would also work fine here, just because it would let you kind of pick out your Portrait of Fury from your hand, or from your draw pile, but this is interesting tech. The Fragment of the Empty Void is also nice, just for a more consistent turn 1. And then we have another Portrait of Fury on our Serennial, so we have pretty much 4 Portraits of Furies across the 3 characters here, but only 1 confiscation. Taking a look at the next person, this is for rank 2. They have 2 Portraits of Furies on their Serennial, which means that they hit the legendary Heart of the Orvane on this run. It's only through the legendary version of that event that you can copy a Forbidden card, so that's how they managed to have 2 here. And then their Selena, they have 0, so it kind of just like evens out. You have 2 portraits across 2 characters. And then I think I went too far. There, Cassius, you got 3 confiscations here, plus a Forced Learning Apparatus, and 1 Portrait of Fury. So 3 portraits, 3 confiscations, plus the Forced Learning Apparatus. Only 1 Joker, though. But you can also see, of course, they have the Dice Trick. That does not have the generate a random quest card. Going forward more, their Selena here, we have Portrait of Fury, plus 2 Precision Aim. So Precision Aim is not very useful unless you have Eternal Hunger. And looking at their Cassius, this is the person who posted their run much earlier to pass 1.5 million. And they deleted their Cassius save data, so you couldn't see what it is, but I'll take a wild guess and say that it's the non-quest card generation Dice Trick. Otherwise, there's not really any reason to delete this. It's probably that, plus the maybe like the Portrait of Fury. There could also be an Eternal Hunger here because they have the Selena with Precision Aim. Maybe that's what's being used here. It could also be using the Forbidden Algorithm, of course, but at the very least, I would expect it to have some methods of draw, confiscation, Forced Learning Apparatus, whatever, portrait, but more importantly, the Dice Trick without the quest card completion, or quest card generation. And then their Serennial, we don't have any draw here. So this deck is missing a bit of draw for consistency, but they managed to pass 1.5 million, so could have been a good run, could have also been some other stuff. The thing is that like rank 4 is 1.481, which again, score deflation mechanic. This is probably a lot of kills separating these. But this is using the quest card completion Dice Trick. So it's not like it's bad, it's just run consistency, not breaking yourself through 111 and breaking yourself through bad draw instead. Being able to do like more than 1 run a day, I guess, because you don't need to Sands of Time rewind every single time you hit 111. And technically higher damage because we can only see for the top 2, but I would assume the third person, because they found something that made them feel like they had to delete their Cassius save data, are all using the non-quest card generation Dice Trick upgrade. The Infinite, if you're not breaking from 111, is it a true Infinite? Not really, because so the situation, you enter the Infinite the second that you can consistently ravage the boss and then kill it, and then ravage it again, and then kill it again. Once you're in that loop, even in the situation that you don't have 111 generation, you're still going to be completing quests. You'll just only get 000. But the thing is, you keep on getting more morale. So eventually your damage is going to go higher and higher. You're going to hit a point where one, your Cassius straight up one-shots the boss with the 000, which is very funny, but you need 4 homing lasers to ravage the boss. So you're going to hit a point where you're just 4 homing lasers, ravage the boss, 000, one-shot it. And then eventually your Serennial is going to have so much morale that you're going to play 4 homing lasers and kill the boss and ravage it at the same time. And you can kind of see where this is going, because as you get more and more morale, you're eventually going to kill the boss in 3 homing lasers. And that's where the problem kicks in, because you can no longer ravage the boss at this point. This is why I call it a pseudo-infinite, because even if you were doing the quest card generation version, and you dodge 111 every single time, with God RNG, you would eventually hit that breakpoint where you can no longer ravage the boss, and you can no longer cycle your homing lasers back into your hand, which means that you are not going to be able to spam generate cards. So that's where the infinite stops, and that's why the scores aren't getting to super ridiculous levels. It's because you're eventually forced to stop once you get too much damage. So really quick, let's take a look at some of the dice trick epiphanies. It really does just come down to these two, I think. This one is 0 cost, so it does count for your quest, and the damage on this does scale pretty high. It is only 1 play though per turn, especially because of how strict the draw requirements are. You could opt to just go for this dice trick instead. The heal doesn't really matter, the boss doesn't do any damage, and then the fixed damage is not that much, but it does thin out your deck. You have a lot of draw, but you do have to keep in mind that worst case scenario, you could just have all your draws in the back of your deck, and that is why Confiscation is so nice, because it forces the portraits into your hand. But even then, what if every single Confiscation and every single portrait is way in the back of your hand, and you never manage to access it? Then that kind of sucks. So thinning out your hand could also be a decent option. You trade a bit of damage in exchange for just having deck thinning. But realistically, you're probably just going to get Portrait, and whichever dice trick you get is good enough to work with. So that is it for the kind of very end tech, or end, like, top end tech for the Cassius quests. It's really, like, not that many people are going to use this. Because you can see, like, here, our rank 1 on global, and also even rank 4 and rank 5 on Asia are just using quest card completion. I just think it's kind of interesting the way that the mechanics of the fight work, where it's damage optimal to not use this dice trick and pretty much just mitigate the RNG with the 111 and exchange it for draw RNG instead.